All right. Cut it off. Cut the music. Stop the music. Everybody shut up. Whatever. We're here. Tommy, Jordan, Alex.
Hello.
I
Ladies and
thought I was going
gentlemen.
to be the pissed one to be the.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh,
boys and
I
girls,
knew it was gonna be
children of
Tommy.
all ages, and you sick freaks. The sick freaks. I'm a sick freak for liking this stupid. Somebody else go first. I'm not ready.
So yeah, okay. We're down bad right now. We're in a situation where we're not really picking up many great vibes right now from a certain baseball team, and there's just a lot of feeling of it's a weird combination of apathy and frustration, exhaustion. It's kind of like some of them kind of conflict, but they're all valid. It's like you sit here like, why should I care with the way this team is playing? And yet I'm still frustrated and angry about it. It's complicated, but it's true. And I think Jordan, you said it really well in the group chat today about like what should I have expected, And but
Yeah.
when you actually see it unfold in real life, it still gets you as a fan.
Yeah. I mean, doing what we do, we have both the fortunate and unfortunate pleasure of essentially seeing how the sausage is made. And for the Cubs, it's really been much of the same since the beginning of the 2019 season in terms of they talk a big game, they talk about knowing what's wrong with the roster, but when you break it down and when you look at the actual moves that are being done, they're not addressing the very things that they say is a problem. And this week, honestly, this past month, it seems like more and more Cubs fans are coming to the realization that Jed Hoyle minus Theo Epstein is a question mark in terms of an executive. I wrote about it today. If you look at his 2 years as the general manager of the Padres, his only move that he's really known for was trading Adrian Gonzalez to the Boston Red Sox. The only prize piece really of that package that the Padres got was Anthony Rizzo, who, of course, was dealt to the Cubs a year later. So Hoyer's success, independent of Epstein, isn't there. And I think we're starting to realize that the previous rebuild was a whole lot of Epstein, with Jed just kind of there in the background.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm glad that we do not have an executive producer, and I'm glad that we are on our own doing this because there's going to be a lot of mic spikes tonight, and there's nothing anybody's going to do about it. I am so like every single emotion is in my head right now. I'm pissed that this team is underperforming. I'm pissed that that this was the team that was started with. I'm sad that I was played again. I feel stupid for letting myself get played again. This team is the exact same team that has been trotted out since 2018. Barely hung on to get a wild card spot after blowing the division. Completely bottoming out in 2019. 2020 doesn't count. 2021, you trade everybody away. 2022 probably shouldn't have existed. 2023, you kind of gave a little hope, but you still had nobody. And 2024, we talked about it before we started the show, and we've talked about it in our chat. But the bare minimum for the Cubs was to re-sign Cody Bellinger. And they did it, and we acted like they went over the moon and did what they were supposed to do. And the only reason that the Cubs signed Cody Bellinger is because the rest of the market didn't want to sign Cody Bellinger. And it's just, it's maddening. It's maddening. And the Hoyer stuff, we were scared of it. We were scared that that was going to be the case. And here we are. It's the case. But he's never going to be on the hot seat because Wrigley is still going 36,000 strong a night. Money's piping in. Whether this team is winning 80 games or 50 games, we're piping in the money. And that's what Ricketts wants to see. You think Jed is going to get fired because he's not spending enough of Ricketts' money? And we can't even say that he's not spending enough money because they're close to the luxury tax. But they're also paying a bunch of money to people that aren't even on the team anymore. So I don't know. They're not allocating the money correctly. Dansby, like, great. I know. I feel like it was a deal, but he's having a bad year. Cody Bellinger was voted on The Athletic as one of the most overrated players in baseball. Christopher Morel is good for a home run every 30,000 at bats. And like, we have all of these guys in the outfield that are just blocking potential other guys that could be playing the outfield. Like, they're not going to do anything about Ian Happ, who has upticked a little bit. But overall, as a group, nobody's performing the way that they're supposed to, the way that Jed told Craig that this team was going to. And it's all bad. Everything's bad.
Zero clutch.
There's
Absolutely
no clutch. There's no
never
closer.
get a hit. Never get a big hit.
They're giving 1 to 2 runs to their starters that are doing a hell of a job out there, and then the bullpen just comes in and wipes it all away. And Hector Norris this, Hector Norris that. He leads the team, and I still think he can be a part. Shut up. Everybody just shut up about Hector Neris. I get that, like, they said that he's a big leader in the clubhouse, and the guys really like him. That's great. You know who else was a really good guy? Jason Hayward, and he batted like 162. What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? I don't know. I'm talking myself in circles now. And I'm not even mad at Jason Hayward. I gave him a ricochet shot, and I love Jason Hayward. I shouldn't have done that. Like, but Hector Neris, he averages more than a walk a game, it feels like. And then he threw the same pitch 3 times in a row and gave up the home run last night. It was the exact same pitch in the exact same location 3 times in a row. Look it up, because that's what happened. What makes you think that's going to work? Only Mariano Rivera might have been able to make that work. Greg Maddux can make that work. You're Hector Neris. You're not going to make it work. And you're not a closer. Like, Houston didn't even use him as a closer. I don't know. I'm upset.
I see a dead team.
It's dead. Look at them. They're dead. Nico's out there with a broken hand, and they're like, oh, you're going to be fine. Just go out there and play. And he's like, yeah, I want to play. Guess what? The first inning, we had the bases loaded, and you chopped it to protect your hand. That hurts. Get somebody up here that is healthy and can play second base at the bottom of the lineup. We don't even need you to bat like first or anything. Christopher Morel's leading off tonight. The hell are we doing?
I don't know. I mean, it's the same movie every damn night. And last night's loss, that was the ultimate summary of this season. You blew it. You could have scored many more runs and you didn't. You had some stupid plays. It was the epitome of everything that's happened. And nothing...
It makes sense. This team is crap. We're rooting for literal crap.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what we said last week. The Cubs are a bad team, but they get spoken about as if they're a good team. But what you said, Tommy, is the moment that the Cubs trotted out Cody Bellinger in February with Scott Boras and Jed sitting at the same table, trotted out as if this was this big move of the offseason, the move that won the Cubs the offseason, when in actuality, it's the bare minimum of what had to be done.
Yeah.
But I will say that mentioning Jason Hayward, your stray at Hayward notwithstanding, is important to the conversation when it comes to the construction of the Cubs roster, because it's that very contract that I think scares Jed now in terms of making that big move, because he doesn't want to be handcuffed like he was with Hayward's contract.
So he's scared of being a general manager and a president of baseball operations in the Major League Baseball. And get your ass out of the chair and let somebody who has the balls to run a team do it. Like, the Philadelphia Phillies are going all in. Yeah. And they haven't gotten a championship yet, but they're in the hunt every single year that they've been in this window. They've been right there the whole time.
They're fun.
And you can't even like blame leadership for that. Like, they're losing the World Series and losing in the NLCS. That was all on the players. You can't blame the hierarchy of the Phillies because they were like, here, I've given you all the pieces, go win a World Series, and they couldn't get it done. That's not their fault.
Yep.
This right here is all Jed's fault, and it's all Carter's fault, and it's all anybody who wears a suit and tie or dress or whatever in the front office for the Chicago Cubs. It is your fault. We're giving you all the money in the world. I've paid thousands to be a season ticket holder, and I go and I watch terrible baseball all the time. It's just, and I'm just stupid. I'm stupid because I fell for it. You got me again. And they're going to keep getting me again and again and again. And it's not even that I'm not even mad that they didn't get Shohei Ohtani. I'm not mad that they didn't land Yamamoto and they didn't
Those
pay
weren't in the
billions or whatever.
cards.
It goes further back than that. It goes back to the summer of Bryce Harper, which we've talked about, and how Tom closed the books. From that moment on, it's been just a downward spiral ever since the books were closed because Bryce wanted Chicago. His dog's name is Wrigley. He was best friends with Chris Bryant. The writing was on the wall. And ever since Tom closed his checkbook on Bryce Harper, everything has gone downhill. We don't know what the future or what would have happened if Bryce signed here. Maybe we don't win a thing. But that goes back to what the Phillies are doing now. Here is every single piece you need to go get a World Series. Come July, if you need something else, let me know. I'll go get it for you. Then go win me a World Series. And if you can't, that's your fault. It's not on me. This is all on Jed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you have a player, if you have a superstar player performing at a superstar level, so say like what Bryce Harper is doing with the Phillies, he extends your contention window because you build pieces around him, you add pieces around him. And when it comes to the Cubs and spending money, like you were saying, Tommy, we're not saying that they're not spending money. They are spending money. They're just not being
dumb.
Yeah, they're not being smart with their spending. It seems like what they did this past offseason is they were so laser focused on Bellinger and getting that deal done, the market froze because of factors outside of Bellinger that they were left sitting in their hands.
Yeah.
The issue with that is you had players like Teoscar Hernandez just sitting out there waiting to be signed. And now he's with the Dodgers. Yeah, he has a
And he's
145.
killing it.
Yeah,
He's
he has a
destroying the
145
baseball.
WRC plus, 17 home runs. And we just got to June. So the issue is...
But we're praising Christopher Morel for batting 180 and hitting 13 of them.
Yeah, and it circles back to what I get annoyed with when it comes to Hoyle when he talks about the Cubs' lack of slug. The Cubs lacked slug last season. The only reason why it got better was because they acquired Jaime Candelario at the deadline. And Candelario, outside of the first 2 weeks with the Cubs, kind of slowed up, but he improved those slugging numbers overall. And again, that's a piece that you lost this offseason. The Cubs lost more than they added this offseason. Sure, Shota Managa has been great. They couldn't have envisioned how good he had been. But when you're looking at their
He's an outlier.
When you're looking at their offensive production from last season, you were dependent on a anomaly season from Yan Gomes and another season where you entered with Mike Tauchman being a valuable member of your starting lineup. And as we discussed before, Mike Tauchman is a phenomenal
no disrespect,
outfielder, but he can't be a regular. Yeah.
No disrespect. Yeah. But I mean, you could say the same about Ian Happ. Right?
Is someone I've avidly defended. I mean,
who outside of the NL Central knows who Ian Happ is?
Oh, yeah, he had his little stage in 2022, but...
And to me, that's what was so problematic about the Ian Happ extension. That whole spring training, I was convinced, even in, our Cubbies Club chat, I was like, no, Ian Happ is reaching free agency. There's no point for the Cubs to sign Ian Happ to an extension, given the outfield prospects that they have coming up. Given the fact that, yes, 2022, he was an All-Star, but if you look at his offensive profile as a whole, it's filled with inconsistency. It's filled with 2-3 months where he's a below-average player he'll get hot for a month or two, and that'll kind of
Yeah,
carry
and
his season over.
this is no disrespect to Ian Happ because he is a phenomenal guy. He's integrated himself into the Chicago culture, exactly like what Shota has done. Like Ian did the exact same thing. Like this is the team that he was drafted by. This is the team that he wants to play for. All of that. Like no disrespect, but you're absolutely correct. It's inconsistent, and now you're holding up Owen Casey, who hit another home run today.
Yeah,
278.
and,
He's batting 278. 7 home runs, 35 RBIs this
and
year for Owen Casey.
I'm going to be honest. I think we lend too much credence to. Oh, he's a good guy. Honestly, good guys don't win
Yeah.
you World Series. The Cubs found that out firsthand in 2016 when they got a World Champ.
Right. Yeah. And well, 2016 again. Like we talked about the Hayward contract. Yes,
Yeah.
I get it. We get it. It was a bad contract. We paid $100 million for a speech in the 10th inning or whatever. I get it. But also, that's what good teams do. They're like, hey, you're the best player on the market. Come play for my team and win a World Series with me. And if you suck, that's on me. But, well, it's on you, but it's on me too. And then at the middle of the year, he was like, hey, we need a closer. All right, let's go get the best closer in the game, put him on our team, and go win a World Series. And that's exactly what they did. Since then, when have the Cubs at the deadline been like, I'm going to go get the best player, or in free agency, I'm going to go get the best player available, and then at trade market, I'm going to go get the best player available, and then go win a World Series? They haven't done it since. Jed has sold more times than he's bought, like 4 times over. You can call him a buyer last year. No, that wasn't buying. That was just, I can move this. I can make it look like it did something.
I'll push back a little bit. At the time, Candelario was the best position player available at the trade market. So I'll give him credit on that trade. He did go out. That was a buy now trade. You make that trade.
It
for
was.
the sole purpose
It
of
was.
buying. What I won't give him credit on is a Jose Quas trade. He tried to do similar to what he's doing with this Jorge Lopez minor league signing. Is he's trying to take a flyer, hoping that the Cubs pitching infrastructure can find something that can turn a reclamation project into a mainstay in the bullpen. And for a while there, for multiple seasons, it did work. He rehabilitated David Robertson. He rehabilitated Micah Givens. He rehabilitated Ryan Tepera. But
when did he do all of that?
Well, and that's he did it in 2021. He did it in 2022. But the issue I'm saying is that can't be your main reliance when you're ready to contend.
Yeah.
Is reclamation project.
Yeah. All right, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, you have to go out and make that signing. To his credit, he did make that signing in Hector Neris. That was a good signing. But what we're finding out is that his reliance on anomalies that we saw last season, in terms of Adbert Alzolay being that closer, you can't rely on something that you've only seen for one season. And it seems like Jed has taken everything that the Cubs showed in 2023, despite that being the exception on the back of the baseball card, instead of the expectation. He thinks that's what the players are moving forward, and there's no proof to show that.
Yeah.
He's trying to get us to give him the benefit of the doubt, and we got to remember, last year you were where you were because you got hot in the middle of the season. You were bad in the beginning of the season, and you were bad at the end of the season. And he's basically relying on the same thing happening again, and you just can't do that. Now,
he's going to do it every single year. He's going to do this every single year. He's never going to be fired. Sorry, I'm done. I'm sorry.
So, I do want to bring up. I don't want to call it a devil's advocate, but something about the ownership, because I want to know. I'm bringing up the payroll now. The ownership is investing $26.5 million in Drew Smyly and Kyle Hendricks. They're also an additional $6 million in Yan Gomes. And then you've got dead money. You have Trey Mancini owed $7 million, Tucker Barnhart $3.25, Brad Boxberger $800K, and then the rest is okay, Garrett Cooper, whatever, Richard Lovely, whatever. But That adds up. That adds up.
Yeah.
And if we going to back to the Bryce Harper thing, that was in the offseason of 18-19. Remember 17-18? They gave Yu Darvish all that money. That first year was
Right.
a massive bust. They gave Brandon Morrow all that money. That was a massive bust. They gave Tyler Chatwood all that money. That was a massive bust. Then you spent a bunch of money on Craig Kimbrell for 2019, even though it was a multi-year deal. You were trying to win that year. That was a massive bust. And
Yeah.
then now here you are, your big time shortstop hasn't been up to par this year so far. Ian Happ has not been up to par so far. So, what do the Ricketts think about all this money they're putting in that's just not resulting in anything? And again, it's not to fully excuse ownership. I'm not trying to, go to bat for them, but you got to help but wonder, right?
Yeah, no, I do. I do. To the people that say Ricketts doesn't want to win, I don't think that's true. I think Ricketts does want to win. He doesn't want to be the Dodgers. He doesn't want to be the
Right.
Yankees, but
I
he
agree.
wants to be. And where my issue comes with Tom is because he saw what the Diamondbacks did last year, and he thinks that's the ceiling.
Oh,
for
we
what
can
the
do
Cubs
that.
should do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the issue is the Diamondbacks have to do that in most part because of their market. The Cubs are the third largest market in Major League Baseball. They shouldn't be striving to be a team like the Diamondbacks who make a couple of intelligent signings here and there. You sneak in the playoffs, you get hot, you go to the World Series. The Cubs have to be like they were in 2015, like they were in 2016. You take that shot every offseason. You take that shot every trade deadline because you're a team that has the financial resources to dominate your division year after year, and yet you willingly choose to be like the Rays, be like the Diamondbacks. And that's where the problem lies, is because that mindset is aligned with how Hoyer likes to run his baseball operations.
He's blatantly said it. Jed Hoyer has blatantly come out and said, being like Cleveland, being like the Rays. Like, he's
Right.
blatantly said it. And it
And
almost feels like this organization has to go out of the way to say, hey, see, look how smart we are. We get to play chess. Like,
Right.
And here now, so I just went on a little. While you were talking, you kind of struck something with me to look something up, and I just wanted to see because as we've all talked about now, we are the third largest market in sports
mhm,
across the board,
mhm.
and I got to thinking, I was like, you know what, Hoyer and Ricketts, they kind of are treating baseball like they have a minimum they have to spend, like a salary floor.
Well, they've drawn a
And
line in
that-
the sand, yes.
And they're
Yeah.
making it seem like as long as we make it look like we spend this much money, then nobody can complain about our spending. So I took a look, and I'm looking on I'm on Sport Tracks right now, and I got the Cubs pulled up here. Well, I accidentally closed out of the Cubs here, and I'm looking at all of these guys and all of these contracts that are either retained or deferred or something weird with them, right? And so my initial thought for this is like, with the Yankees and the Dodgers, they obviously have contracts that sometimes like don't live up to the hype, right? What do they do in response to that? They're like, okay, let's just go get more because we're the effing Yankees and we're the effing Dodgers. The Yankees have 3 contracts retained. The Dodgers have 10. The most money on there for the Dodgers is Manuel Margot, $4 million, and the Yankees is Aaron Hicks at $8.7 million. That tells me that the Yankees and Dodgers, so yes, they're going and they're spending the money and they're going to do it, but they also have people in their front office that know what the F they're doing. And they know not to give Trey Mancini $7 million. And they know not to give Tucker Barnhart 3.2. Like, the evidence is right here that Jed Hoyer sucks at his job. Like, it's right here. He just sucks. He picks the wrong talent. He pays the wrong people, but he makes it look like Tom is spending the money and we're all going and filling the ballpark. So what more do we need that Jed Hoyer sucks at his job? Because he does. This sucks, and we don't deserve this as the third largest market that goes and fills Wrigley Field every single day on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're out there and buying $13 beers and $40 beer bats and then stacking them in the outfield, making it like all Tom Ricketts sees when we're doing our cup snakes is just more money in his pocket. Like,
and subscribing to Marquee
and subscribing to Marquee and going to conventions and all that. Like, the spending thing needs to have another layer of you're buying the wrong things. They're trying to fit
intelligent
square pegs in circle holes. They're idiots. Jed Hoyer, I'm done defending Jed. I will never defend Jed again. He's an idiot. He's doing it wrong. And I'm not saying that I could do a better job. Like, that's why I have a microphone in my hand. We're talking at 7 p.m. on YouTube. But I'm an idiot. And I can see that you're not good at your job. But Tom doesn't care that he's not good at his job because he's spending the minimum, only the minimum, and we're filling the seats. So Jed is never going to get fired because he's doing what Tom wants him to do. Tom is never going to have a problem with it because he's going to make the same money regardless. And we're all just idiots because we're just a peg in the wheel or a whatever in the wheel, spoke in the wheel, whatever.
I do want to circle. I do want to circle back to something Theo said at his final press conference as he was passing the torch over to Jed, and we kind of skated over it. He said no executive should remain with a team beyond 10 seasons. Well, here's the problem with that is when you're passing it over to someone who's been underneath you since 2012, that means that very person has been in the organization for more than 10 years. We're going on Hoyer's 12th year in the Cubs front office.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe we shouldn't stick with a team for more than 10 years.
Yeah, and it just circles back to why the council hire was so important, because you had someone from outside your organization come in. I'm sure if Craig gives his honest opinion now about the state of the Cubs, it's probably a little bit different than what it was in November. But I think we're seeing Hoyer, which has routinely been the Cubs' problem, is scouting their own farm system. The Cubs, to their credit, have a great farm system, but they're also overvaluing in the sense of, hey, we're not going to trade prospect A right now because we don't want to block him on our team moving forward, or we don't want to go out and get Juan Soto right now because now's not the right time. Well, here's the problem with that thinking. Acquiring a player like Juan Soto makes it that time for your team at the major league level, especially for the pieces that the Cubs had. So when it comes to what Hoyer says now, I don't get worked up over when he says that there has to be internal solutions. The fact of the matter is there has to be. If there isn't production from Michael Bush, from Cody Bellinger, from Dansby Swanson, from Ian Happ, if that production isn't there, there's not going to be an external move that saves this team. They need it. Having said that, your external move that you make can't be on the margins. You have to go out and get that impact closer, get that impact back. So,
this is exactly what I wrote in a blog yesterday, was that when free agency is to build your team and make sure you have everything from within.
Yeah.
And you can't win without, your team needs to be built from within. The trade market is for the good teams to go get somebody to step on the throats of the rest of the league.
Right.
That's what the trade market and the trading at the deadline does. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So already with the Cubs being like, oh, we can fix everything from the trade deadline, that's a bad motive. So he's right in that sense. What he's wrong about is he has the stuff internally to fix this because he doesn't. Like
He doesn't. Yeah.
this is not going to be good. And another thing, to go back to the Hoyer and the spending and stuff, he is so focused on that minimum, like just keep it at that minimum. It's a floor and a ceiling at the exact same time, it feels like. And my friend K Fids at Sports Mockery said this to me. It was either yesterday or the day before, and my mind exploded. And I want to give him full credit for it. But he said, Jed Hoyer doesn't care about winning games. He cares about winning the deal. And it blew my mind because that is so true. He could care less what this team does on the field. He just wants to hit that number. He wants to hit the minimum maximum number. And I swear Tom gives him a bonus for it.
Coupons at
no.
Gallagher Way. Have at it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. If you just look at, how the Cubs handled this offseason with the Bellinger stuff. Granted, I do think they were smart to not jump out and sign Bellinger because we're kind of seeing his numbers are decent. They're not what they were last year, but we're kind of seeing
The contract itself is good. Yeah.
right. We're seeing why that hesitation was there for a team to go 6, 7, 8 years for $200 million.
Yeah,
but they're like outside, like the big name, Ohtani, whatever. Yeah. What else was he going to do that was going to fix this team to be ready for this year? Like, what other moves could he have made in this free agency to make the team jump from 2023 to 2024?
It goes back to the name we said at the top. The biggest need they had was for a slug. So, sure, you weren't going to sign Ohtani. Sure, you weren't even going to sign, or you weren't going to trade for Ohtani. But there was a slugger on the market for you in Teoscar Hernandez that you could have signed without spending money. And here's the thing. The Cubs don't need like a superstar bat. They need someone that can hit 30, 35 home runs because what that then does is it extends your lineup. Christopher Morel doesn't have to be your number 4 hitter. He can be your number 5 hitter. You're more comfortable with Ian Happ batting 6, which means you're more comfortable with Dansby batting 7th or 8th. The issue when it comes to Dansby Swanson and people talking about his offensive struggles, Dansby Swanson was not signed to be the main offensive contributor of the Cubs.
Yes.
The issue is because of the players that are failing around Dansby Swanson, it only highlights his offensive regression. The biggest issue with Dansby right now is his defense. If you look at his range isn't there. He's never had a strong arm. So we're losing at the very thing Jed said this team was meant to do, which was play baseball fundamentally and play defense.
And that's the opposite of what they've done.
Exactly.
Their total defensive metrics are shit. They're absolute dog shit. It's incredible.
Right.
If your identity is supposed to be run prevention, you're not preventing enough runs with a shitty defense and a shitty bullpen. Because what the hell else are you? Are you a slugging team? No, you're fucking not. Are you a scrappy team that makes contact? No, you're fucking not. So if you're not a defensive team, what the fuck are you?
Right. No.
Seriously.
Yeah.
What's your identity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have one.
Yeah. You don't. Yeah. You don't.
It's insane.
You don't have an identity. You don't have a closer. You don't have a catcher. You don't have a slugger. You don't have what makes a good baseball team a good baseball team.
And you know what?
That's what it comes down to. And
I said this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say really quick. I put this in a blog yesterday too for Elias Diaz. I think his run value defensively was +4 on the year. Yan Gomes and Miguel Amaya combined -7.
That's
on the year.
Horrific. That's absolutely horrific.
Neither one of them are in the plus. So we don't have a catcher, and we don't have one even close to being ready in the minors. So even if you're not contending, you have to get a catcher.
That guy that Mets just DFA'd.
Yeah, anybody, somebody. Elias Diaz is hurt right now, but also now the Phillies. JT Realmuto may be out up to 8 weeks. You think they're just going to sit around and wait for him? No, they're going to go get Elias Diaz.
Right, because they make the moves.
Because they make the moves that
or Danny Jensen.
Stomp on the throat of the opponent.
Yes.
They're going for it. And this might be the last year of that window before they have to retool again because their farm system is depleting a little bit. This may be it for them. So yeah, they're going for it. It's,
Yeah.
and the Cubs aren't. They're the Phillies number 4 market in the league, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Look at what they
Yeah.
were doing. You know what I was saying earlier was I was saying this over the weekend, and I was pointing out that if you look at the individual players on the Cub team based on just personality and the back of their baseball cards, like I like these individual players,
Mhm.
Yes, great group of
Yeah.
guys.
but you're not. You're a team of Robins and no Batman. You're
Yeah.
just, you don't have anyone that's like, wow, that's a star. Like Ian Happ at his best, good player. Dansby Swanson, elite defender, decent enough hitter for a shortstop. Nico Horner, really good defender, nice contact hitter. Cody Bellinger, he was once a legit star, but
Yeah.
those days are behind him. But
He's not that anymore.
Yeah.
no,
Well,
he could,
and yeah, I'm sorry. Finish your thought. I'm so sorry.
no, that's okay. But what I was saying was like in a vacuum, individually, you can say yes. But when you put them all on a team, when you don't have the Batman, when you don't have the variance and skill that you need, you get with struggles like this. And really,
Yes.
the most painful thing about this team, in my opinion, it's not fun at all. It's boring.
No,
It's
Yeah.
a boring, lifeless group right now.
Yeah. And the thing is too, like going back to the individual guys on this team, this team is filled with a lot of good ball players. But
yeah.
they like it goes back to getting a square peg in a circle hole. Like they're all expected to play the best brand of baseball 162 times a year. And that is impossible. Like
Right.
it is legitimately impossible to be able to do that.
Right.
I am not
Everything has to go right.
I do not blame a thing on anybody on this roster. I'm honest to God. Like I know we're underperforming. I know that they're not doing what we expected every single one of them to do. Ian Happ to Miguel Amaya to Hector Neris to everybody. Okay? I'm not blaming this on them because they were never set up for success by Jed Hoyer. He never put a Batman on the roster to take the reins and be like, I'm going to take control of this team. You guys are coming with me. And being able to be like, okay, Ian, if we could have you in the 6 hole, like, here's why it's going to work out for you. Or like, Nico, we think you have everything it takes to be a leadoff guy, but don't worry because Seiya's behind you or something like that. Or I shouldn't say that. I should say because Juan Soto's behind you, because Bryce Harper's behind you. All these guys that would have made the 2 hole or it's just we were never set up to be a winner. We were never set up to be a winner.
I would push back. There is blame that deserves to be handed to the players on the roster.
Dansby Swanson has to be better.
Yeah,
Ian Happ has to be
100%,
better.
yeah.
They just, I mean,
But
that's,
the
they got to
thing
play
is,
to the
like,
back of their ball card.
Yeah, you got to play the back of your ball card, but when you're fighting for your life 162 times a year, how are you supposed to do that?
Well, here's the
Produce
thing.
better.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. There has to be blame cast upon the roster because even if you have a superstar bat, which, yes, it would change the dynamics of your lineup, the type of play that's happening right now on the field is unacceptable, even to the standards in which the players have set for themselves. To Alex's point, Dansby Swanson has to be a better player. Seiya Suzuki has to stop looking at strike 3 and actually swing.
I think what the point that I was trying to make was we would not be in this situation if the roster was built correctly.
Well,
if they were not under fire every single night, maybe Cody wouldn't be swinging out of his shoes on a breaking ball that's 60 miles an hour, and Seiya would be seeing the ball better. Like if the pressure wasn't on them every single at bat, every single night, I gotta make this play, I gotta stop this ball, I gotta hit a home run, then we probably wouldn't even be here right now. Like we'd probably be like, Seiya might still be on his MVP run. Christopher Morel might be slugging a bajillion. Like these are all hypotheticals, and there's no way to prove any of it.
Swanson's making $177 million.
Yeah, no,
yeah, but the thing is, he is expected to be the Batman on this team, and he's not a Batman.
No, he's not. But slugging, OBP under 300.
I just feel like we wouldn't be here if we wouldn't be in this situation if the roster was built correctly.
Oh,
I guess that's the point I was trying to make. And there's and
yeah,
and I respect you guys saying that because like you're probably right, but there's just no way to know. There's just no way to know.
I get what you're saying, and I don't think you're necessarily wrong in the terms of if you were set up better, you would be better, and others might be playing a little better. But these players too also have to take it, like
you're also getting paid $1 bajillion to play a kids game.
Ian Happ's making $20 million a year. You can't have a sub 700.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think put all three of our ideas together, we make one whole person.
Look.
Yes.
To quote, a famed Chicago Bears coach John Fox.
Yes,
it's all
good.
Yeah, it's all a problem.
Yeah. Should we switch it up a little bit?
Yeah, we could talk. What are we talking?
Yeah.
Hot dogs, Bears. Where are we going next?
Let's go hot dogs. Hot dogs sound fun.
I am pumped.
Yeah, you brought it to the chat.
Yeah,
so talk about it.
Kind of trolled you guys.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, but, he comes into our group chat, everybody. And he says, and he starts putting these memes of like OMG. Like, I don't know the exact memes. I can pull them up here.
One was like when Undertaker lost to Brock
Lesnar. Yeah, and the Just Say Yes guy is like looking like this. And then Joe Rogan at the UFC fight holding everybody back. And then Jurassic Park with the oh my God. I'm thinking like, oh my God. It's Vladdy and Danny Jansen coming to Chicago in a package deal, and he tells me that Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi are gonna eat hot dogs together once again, and which I'm excited, but I feel like we could have done this a little better.
Maybe, but then I saved it because I told you guys about Jorge Lopez becoming a Cub.
Saving the day. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that, but yeah.
To anyone who's a kid, maybe 30, you grew up watching Kobayashi. This dominating hot dog eating.
I mean, he went on like a 6-year run, right?
Right. And then when Kobayashi was on, there was Joey Chestnut. And then there was drama because Kobayashi was he juiced up? Was he taking steroids? They banned him from ever performing against Nathan. So we never got closure to the Joey Chestnut Kobayashi rivalry.
Yeah.
And this year we are finally getting that in September. I'm pumped.
It's going to be a ratings bonanza. It is.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing is, look, and let me get this straight. This is appointment television. Labor Day, you won't find me at the pool. You won't find me at the lake. You'll be seeing me in front of the tube watching this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't this a little bit like UFC with the matchups that you wanted to see your entire life? 100%. And then it's like too old, like Tyson. Or somebody, and then it's 100%. Like, okay, now I'll fight you. Now that I've done everything, and I'm 50 years old.
Oh yeah,
and now but to be fair, Joey Chestnut obviously still at the top of his game. Sets a record almost.
Yeah, he's in his prime right now.
Yeah,
and the cool part is, we have no idea what to expect from Kobayashi.
Exactly.
Look, I'm in, and you know what? Like, I don't know what I'm doing Labor Day. I don't know what you guys are doing Labor Day, but I vote we should. Maybe we stream this. Maybe we live stream watching it together.
Like
that would be something.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I'll be down.
Cody Bellinger just hit a home run.
Cody Bellinger just hit a bomb.
That was much needed too. Yeah. Boy.
But you know what? I take it all back. We're going to the
Stop.
Playoffs, boys. No. Tommy Meatballs will be back by that.
I mean, I'm all right. Like, I'm a meatball.
Yeah.
What can I say?
No, don't. But we stop. Stop it.
I'll tell you what, though.
I will say, like, that team, the Cubs are the reason why I'm sitting here drinking PBR for $9.99 is because I had to save my pennies to be a season ticket holder.
Well, I think
shout out PBR.
This is kind of what we hope the White Sox series was. You kind of need that moment that kind of sparks your team. If this is a moment, that's great. But what's problematic is if you were watching this game earlier today, you saw a clip of Dansby and Nico standing side by side in the clubhouse. They just look lost. But let's circle back to last night. Pete Crow Armstrong makes a double out of a batted ball that never left the infield.
Sure.
But here's what you didn't see. You didn't see the camaraderie like you saw in 2021 when the Cubs clubhouse was going wild when Javi Baez had that wild play in Pittsburgh
Yep.
where he grounded
Sure.
to I forget back to the pitcher maybe. He's
No,
trotting-
it was to the
third.
first baseman.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
It
he
was
Going to
trotting
third,
to
the throw was
yeah.
to first. The throw was
Yeah.
offline, but the first baseman
That's
caught
right.
it, so he
And
ran
then he
it
heard-
back.
Exactly. And he's trotting. He then sprints
Can
back
we
home.
watch that
He then
without
turns
getting
into-
sued?
but what makes that amazing is because you see all the guys in the clubhouse is going crazy.
Oh, Rizzo was
Rizzo-
cracking up.
Rizzo is practically falling on the field over the fence, going crazy at the play. But then we bring it back to last night. There's none of that with this team. And I get it. Losing as much as you have, you lost 10 of 24 over the past 34 games. I get it. It's a deflating feeling, but you still
Yeah.
have to have that vibe.
Yeah, and you're right. And it's almost like whenever something good happens to the Cubs right now, everybody's like, okay, how is this going to get ruined?
Oh, right.
Oh, I know.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
you got the
Yeah.
bullpen with 9
Yeah.
more outs to get.
Right,
And,
and
Okay,
that's the
yeah,
issue. Yeah.
yeah.
Fade the Cubs is what we're saying.
Yeah, fade the Cubs. Well,
know,
okay, so
No, if we're fading anybody, it's the Chicago White Sox
Like
fade
I, told,
both.
because
like I told you guys, I was so mad at myself on Monday.
26 times this year they've had the lead and lost the game, which
The
the
home's
Cubs
gonna
have to be
work.
right behind them in that.
I was
number
gonna say
because-
they
Oh,
got
yeah.
to be pretty
Oh, yeah.
close.
But
They gotta be
I mean,
pretty
that's a team that's what, won 14 games, 15
17.
games, 17. Sorry, didn't
17,
mean to
17.
disrespect.
Yes.
And that's the thing too. Like, I don't like to compare the Chicago Cubs to Chicago White Sox. I think they're two completely different franchises. They're run differently. Well, maybe
But
not
over the
differently,
past
but-
month, if you look at the
I
records,
know. They've been
sure,
pretty
yeah, but
identical.
I think expectation wise, I think is
Oh,
is
it's
is
night
the
and
biggest
Oh, yeah,
difference. It was like
100%, yeah.
like the only expectation for the Cubs or for the White Sox was like, okay, maybe we won't be as bad as we were last year, even though they're worse this year. But at
Right.
that point, it's like, who cares? With the Cubs, it was like this team should win a division, and now we're under 500. You know, it's just apples and
Right.
oranges. You know,
of course.
but yeah, like the man, who are they gonna trade? They're gonna trade some people because
White
Yeah,
Sox?
I mean,
yeah. So I know Matt Spiegel on 670 The Score, he was talking about he said a couple weeks ago that I would be absolutely deflated if I was a White Sox fan and they traded Luis Roberts, and he's finally come around to, yeah, you have to trade Luis Roberts.
I think
and
you
like-
have to, yeah.
Yeah, I think you do too.
It
So I
sounds
think
less
he's
of
gone.
a if
Yeah.
than when at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that and Garrett Crochet, I believe, is going to be gone. I don't know how much value Michael Kopech's going to get. He's out
Oh,
of control. He is out of
Honestly,
control.
and what's crazy is if Michael Kopech was on a good team, he would have been DFA'd by now. I mean, that's so. If you're the Sox, you're looking at probably a low level prospect in terms of who you're going to move. It really comes down to Eric Fetty, Garrett Crochet, and Luis Robert Jr. You're probably getting the most for Luis Robert Jr. or Crochet, just given the team control that comes with both of them.
Yeah.
Ideally, though, I don't think I'm trading Crochet, and here's why. You had to squint, and you still have to squint, but you can see breadcrumbs of the deals that Chris Gretz is making being good. Reason why I say that is Drew Thorpe made his debut yesterday, and he looked really good.
That
There's a
trade
lot-
might look really good for the balance
Yeah.
for the future. Yeah.
There's a lot to like about the recent prospects that the White Sox have added
Definitely.
to the system. Now
Definitely.
they still got a lot of work to do. Don't get me wrong. Getz has a ton of work to do and to not only rebuild that major league team, but especially that farm system. But if he has another deadline that's similar to the deals that he got for Dylan Cease, I think we can at least get the train back on the railroad. It's not
Yeah,
close to
I
their
agree.
destination.
what do
but
you
I
think
think we can get
if you had to put money on a year? Sox are back in the playoffs.
2027 if things go exactly right, but probably 2028.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. And it kind of depends on what type of prospects you're trading for. So,
Right.
like when they got Drew Thorpe, he was, on a pretty quick trajectory. And, if you could get a few more of those guys, the Sox have some arms in that
Yeah,
farm system. If you can restock that farm system, I'm not sure their future is as bleak as some people make it out to be.
exactly. Yeah,
So I think you got to trade everything you can get, because if you're not going to be good for the next few years, what's there really worth keeping? I think you sell high on Eric Fetty, you sell high on Luis Robert, you obviously sell guys like DeYoung and Tommy Pham, and I think Garrett Crochet, that's interesting because he looks so good, but what's his stamina like? Do you strike while the
right.
iron's
Yeah,
hot? Because do you
that's
look
true.
back in a few years and regret not getting the value out of him at the time? Because
Right.
he's had some injury issues in the past, so
Right.
that's kind of you kind of weigh your options there. So like a guy like Tommy Pham, there's going to be someone will say, hey, we need to get like a bench bat, a platoon
Yeah, my
type
guess
guy in
is
here.
my
So
guess is he'll be in Atlanta probably 2 weeks after he's healthy.
Mm,
yeah.
it's a good call. It's a good call. All right. All right. Let's see. Sox. Oh, I want to talk about the Red Stars. Chicago Red Stars. National
Yeah,
Little
how
League
was your
Soccer League.
experience? Because you went to the game, right?
So cool. So I went on Saturday.
Yeah.
Red Stars played at Wrigley. It poured down rain, but we were under the old scoreboard, so we didn't get wet. It was awesome.
That's good.
But I mean, such a cool environment, even though they got smoked. Like Bay FC came to play. And like I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a soccer fanatic or a crazy soccer guy, but there was clearly a team that was focused and ready to win, and a team that was kind of caught in the headlights. And a lot of focus early to try to get Mallory Swanson on the board. It didn't work out so hot. She was getting double teamed, and they really held her in check. Bay FC won 2-1, but they set the attendance record at 35,038 people,
Nice.
I believe. So they set the league record for attendance.
Yeah, it was a league record.
Yeah, so that was really cool, and the environment was awesome, and the bars were bumping after the game, which was cool. So felt like a Tuesday, Monday night at Wrigley, like after a long road trip,
The
like,
sunset pictures looks pretty cool.
oh, it was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, it was very cool. Very cool. It was a proud Chicago moment, quite honestly. It felt really good. It was really
Yeah.
cool. All while the Sky lost to, I think they lost to Atlanta that night. But Bad Girls are up. It's Bad Girls up
Oh yeah,
all the time.
It's so for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they're playing the Suns right now, but I can't find it on TV.
Yeah, I see the squirrel popping through on the ticker on marquee. Yeah, it's cool to see when Wrigley does non-baseball events because for all the criticism that we do give the Ricketts, they've turned the Wrigley Field experience into one of the best experiences
Oh,
at
yeah.
a baseball ballpark.
Yeah.
So they do deserve credit for that. And seeing the pictures from that game, it looked cool seeing that.
It was very cool.
I'm not a soccer guy. I don't pretend to be a soccer guy, but it was cool seeing that. Yeah.
Very cool, and fireworks.
There
There were
you go,
fireworks.
yeah.
It was crazy. Next cool thing at Wrigley besides Cubs games, and I think there's another football game this fall, but Winter Classic pre-sale
Yeah.
is right now, and
There you go.
I'm scraping the pennies, boys. I gotta be there. I gotta go. I gotta go.
I know. I'm thinking about it too. I really am.
I gotta
really
go.
am.
Like I have no choice. I gotta be there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think
especially you. You gotta be there.
Yeah, Mr. Blackhawk.
Yeah, I know, I do. And trust me, I've been thinking about it because I remember watching the first Winter Classic at Wrigley when the Blackhawks were on the rise. I remember just what a big deal that was. And I've said for years, like, man, they hosted that Winter Classic in '09 before you had any of this new stuff. No Gallagher Way, no video boards, no
Mhm.
renovated concourse, no hotel, no upgraded bars and restaurants around. Now you have so much more. And I
Yeah.
can only imagine how much fun Gallagher Way will be in an environment
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. For the
Oh,
Winter
it's gonna
Classic.
be awesome. Even if I don't go to the game, I will definitely be in Wrigley
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be awesome. So
It is. And it's just I see all these sporting events at Wrigley Field, and I think about like my grandpa, who was a Bears season ticket holder in all the years they played at Wrigley Field. And
Very
from
cool.
1920 to 1971, after the Cubs ended their season, the Bears would take over. And then after 1971, you had the Chicago Sting play some games there.
Yep.
But after that, you didn't really utilize the park very much for anything else. And I remember in 2010 when my Fighting Illini beat Northwestern at Wrigley Field. And that was such a big deal because it's like, wow, we're watching another sport at Wrigley Field for the first time in really a long time.
And who knows when, yeah.
Right, because you had the Winter Classic and that game kind of back to back. So, like, before those two games, you didn't really have anything like that. Now, next thing you know is you're using the field itself for a fan winter festival during the holiday season. Like, if you'd have told me as a kid, like, wow, I could go onto the field in winter and go to a Chris Kindle Mart, that would have been like mind blowing to me.
Right,
they weren't. It's amazing how little the Chicago Tribune utilized Wrigley Field because think about it.
Oh yeah, they didn't care.
Oh,
They didn't care about. I mean, yeah, give Ricketts credit. They completely rejuvenated the place
Because right when the Ricketts took over, that's when you had the Winter Classic, and then you had the Illinois Northwestern game.
And then it was like, hey, we can't fit a football field in here. And they were like, all right, well, let's fix it so we can.
Right. So, because you can take away some of those rows, I believe, and then you cover the dugout and whatnot. So then you could fit the football field. But I mean, really, when we were kids, I can't think of the only sporting alternate, and I put that in quotes, alternate sporting event I can remember happening at Wrigley Field during the Tribune ownership is, do you guys remember when they used to do that Road to Wrigley game where like the Iowa Cubs would play? One year was the Iowa Cubs and somebody, and then I think one year the A team played like the Kane County Cougars. It was just a minor league baseball game, so the sport was the same. You weren't playing a hockey game or a football game or anything like that.
Yeah, and now I mean, the Savannah Bananas just played at Fenway, so they could be coming to Chicago for all we know.
No,
that'd be cool.
It'd be awesome.
I think we might have solved the Bears Stadium issue. I think just go back to Wrigley Field.
Okay, totally. Now I've been saying this for years. Bears Packers should be at Wrigley every single year.
That would be an experience for sure.
I agree, but there is no way in hell the NFL would do that.
No, absolutely not. But
tickets would be $5,000 a pop.
But and that's fine. I don't go to NFL games because they're so expensive. But I mean, Bears Packers at Wrigley would rock.
No, it would be great. No, all jokes aside, I think they're going to Arlington Heights. I think.
Oh yeah, they're definitely.
I think the past couple of days kind of confirmed that.
Right. Because they're 1,000% going. I mean, and we knew it all along.
Kevin Ward's out here like, we'll stay in the city, and all the city legislators are like, but we're not voting on your current plan because it's a non-starter. And I think he said the quiet part out loud the other day when he was like, our goal is so they have shovels in the ground by 2025. And here's the thing. If that's your goal, that means you're depending on the fall session to get it approved. And it sounds like your current plan is nowhere near approved. And the whole
nobody's even willing to negotiate.
And the whole reason they're trying to kind of rush the city plan is because of the deadline that's on I think it's the IFSA funds or whatever that they were planning on using, and that expires next year. So if we go past November's session in Springfield and there's no deal, Arlington Heights confirmed.
Definitely. Two things. The first thing is a football thing that I want to relate it. I just want to say that Aaron Rodgers is causing chaos in New York because that's what he does. It was more Robert Saleh, but I'm going to blame it on Aaron Rodgers.
I was about to say
it's definitely on Saleh. It's 1,000% on Saleh.
I don't want to give Aaron Rodgers like any like benefit of the doubt, but
I'm going to blame it on him.
Yeah, in the profession where you lie 99% of the time, why didn't you lie? The truth in that moment? Yeah,
that was insane. And then the second thing I just want to relay to you guys was I was shitting on the Jamer Candelario move last year. He has hit 2 home runs tonight. So,
and look, it goes back to what we're saying. And even if it's not bringing back Jamer Candelario, I'm fine with that.
The same.
You could have brought in Reese Hoskins, who, by the way, a 120 WRC plus.
I would have loved Reese. I would have loved Reese. And now that he's with Milwaukee, I think he's a whiny baby. but that's just because he's in
that type,
Milwaukee.
but it goes back to that type of thing. Yes, the Cubs are never going to get Ohtani. Yes, they were never going to get. They were never going to trade for Soto, but there were moves out there to be made that would have fell in line what they are spending. The decisions that are being made right now, the approach that is being made right now is what's wrong.
Rhys Hoskins this year batting .232. Of course, he was hurt for a little while. He's played in 48 games. He's batting .232, OBP .330, OPS .776. So I mean,
better than a lot of hitters on the team right now.
Correct.
And
yes, that was my point.
Yeah,
and that is not near what he can do. So
it goes back to our point about what the lineup needed. The lineup doesn't need an overall hitter hitting 300. You need
some pop.
Just need some pop. Need some pop. All right, boys. Anything else before we get the hell out of here?
Hey, we'll see what happens in the ninth.
Thank you for letting
6
me
more
talk this
outs
out with you guys. I feel better.
It's therapeutic.
No, I let it out, and now I feel better. Like that's what this show is. It's just therapy.
Hopefully we end on a good note because there's still 6 outs that the bullpen needs to get.
6 long outs.
Yeah. I don't know.
All righty.
Thank you everybody for participating and listening. This is also a podcast, so if you missed any part of it, if you came in late, you want to hear me go absolutely bonkers, you can do that on the podcast. So
let's hope that next week is not a therapy session and we're just
it's going to be. No, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad.
Probably will be. Yeah, because
everything goes to therapy session.
Cardinals at Wrigley.
But as always, Cubs in 4, baby. Cubs in 4.
In 4 what?
Games.
Yeah. No.
As in, I hope we only play 4 games the rest of the year. Okay, that's it, everybody.
On that note.
Godspeed. Whatever. Everything's dumb.